and this way. And that's what I consider. It just hives out and just pulls everybody in.
I love that. And, more than anything else, I love, what you call yourself, the dream maker. Where did that come from? How did you get called dream maker?
Well, and it was actually funny. Somebody else called me that, and I'm like, you know what? Thank you, because this is what's happened my whole life. So I once I master something, then I want to know something more. So I'm, very voracious in my learning, and my husband refers to me as the master of many. And often when people are like, well, what do you do? And I'd be like, well, I'm a publicist, but I do more than that. And then all of a sudden, it was about a year or two ago, one of the clients said, Andrea, you're my dream maker. And I said, dream maker, and you really make people's dreams come true. And so now that's what I tell people. So they say, what do you do? And I say, well, I work with high level geniuses, people like Sherry, high level geniuses who really want to make a difference in the world and who need to stay in this space with their creativity. And so I implement action to make their dreams come true higher than they ever dared to dream possible. And it's kind of like, I kind of laughed. I said, am I a dream maker or a fairy godmother, or like wave my magic wand? I'm all of those. And I love doing it. It just really makes me a vibe even more.
Well, and I love that. I love the energy, the vibe that I feel from you, even when you just share that, fairy godmother, dream maker, this is because, one of the things I share about myself is that I love playing full out. And I everybody who's been on my show or, my audience members and stuff like that, they know that I have this thing when Sherry's happy, I go, a sugar boomy bum boom, because that's around for me and a funness for me. But so much like yourself, I mean, talk about the things, that I've experienced in my life, from few people know that I was once a firefighter, a forest firefighter,
That's pretty cool.
But those experiences, just like you being a dream maker, those experiences have brought us into an awareness. And that awareness has given us ingredients to a recipe to share with other people from their perspective, from their space of, whatever it is, challenge, struggle, circumstance, happiness, joy. And so you and I are people who can align people with that within themselves and help them turn up the channel, I like to say, and the dial on their dreams.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting because once things start implementing, and then I'm like, did you ever consider adding this or bringing that, or like even just you and I talking about fun things we could do together? We're like, well, what about adding in, this or that? And like, you're like, let's do that. This is so exciting. It's really fun. And it allows you to keep expanding upon what you desire and what you dream. I really do believe that you can manifest your own destiny. And I have created my life the way it is. And so when there's days that things don't go the way I want to, or things don't happen, I think sometimes what's going on? And I realize, no, I brought this on myself. I mean, for example, can I give a little story? Recently, I had like a conflict in my life with something. And then just today, I was like, oh my gosh, what a huge blessing. The person that I'm having, it's just a difference of opinion. I just realized that because of this, it has challenged me to be at a higher level. Because they pulled away, then I was forced to have to pick up the pieces and manage it all, which I'm very good about doing. I worked in emergency management by being a 911 operator, and my husband's on the fire department, and so I was on the ladies auxiliary. So we have fire in common. And so when you do those things, you have to make things happen because lives depend on it. And I take everything in my life that way. So when like somebody didn't show up for an appointment or doesn't show up for a radio show, who does it for them? I do. Because they're my client or my partner or my friend or family member. I always make sure that that still goes into force. And because of that, it's raised me up to a higher level where other people in the world are recognizing me. And I may not have had the amazing things happen had I not had those things that I thought were a down. Because by taking themselves out of the game, it elevated me even higher and forced me to shine even brighter. And so I actually am very, very thankful for the way that was. So There you go.
In getting back to that whole space of what you just experienced and stuff like that, I mean, even when you were just sharing originally the experience and where you were with it, I just felt such a power in hearing you say, you know what, I'm okay with it because I know that I'm going to get through this, and I'm going to get through it in a way that's going to shine so brightly. And just, you're connecting with what you're sharing with us right now in yourself. You're connecting with happiness. You're connecting with the knowingness that it's going to be healed, that you're going to get through it, and you're already whole, perfect, and complete.
Very much so. I resonate with that very much, and I have to be honest that I wasn't like that my whole life. I actually was negative and very external locus of control, and it was about what was happening to me and other people's faults and such a blame, like and what an icky person to be around. I mean, like. I was an only child, so I didn't learn how to be with other people well. And, because we didn't have kids who lived in our neighborhood, it was awkward for me. And it wasn't until I started volunteering as a teenager that I realized that when you volunteer, and especially when you volunteer to lead, they really, really like you for what you're doing. And that's where I found my confidence and my ability. And it was through the years that I learned to overcome, resilience with personal development. But when I came to be a part of the Keep Smiling movement, so my business is the Red Carpet Connection. I'm an international publicist and business consultant and do all kinds of wonderful things, which you shared. And then for my spare time, I'm part of the Keep Smiling movement.
Yay.
So we have these cards in 27 different languages. And then here's one of our banners here. I'm actually laughing because I forgot on StreamYard that we don't get to have the virtual background. And I have this gorgeous bookshelf over there. But because it's over there and the furnace is over here, I moved my desk to an ugly spot. And I'm like, I have this ugly wall behind me. So I had laughed and she turned it on and go, well, alrighty then, we'll just pull this little dose of hope thing here. But let me angle it a little bit more. You can see the Keep Smiley. You can see Mr. Smiley there on our stuff. And it says the Keep Smiling movement. That's our nonprofit, the 501(c)(3) Mental and Dental Health Organization. And when you have cards like this all over the place, you're forced to smile, Sherry. I mean, not like force, like smile, but smile like if it's all over, I'm like, yes, just keep smiling, just keep smiling. And these things are all over my world that I can't help but look at them and see them. And it reminds me consistently to stay in positivity and then manifest what I want. I manifest what the dreams that I'm looking and where I'm going to go and the positivity that can happen. So just like you, Sherry, she manifests some amazing things in her world. She's just phenomenal.
And I just love your description of that because it's like subliminal programming. So when you have, it's like my friend Joe Ingram always says, he says, get out a whole container of sticky notes. And he says, write all these things to yourself on sticky notes, whatever it is, positive affirmations, what you want to materialize in your life, and post them on the wall or post them in areas that you walk around. And so I'm listening to you sharing about, you're seeing these Keep Smiling everywhere. And I could see if you had these in places all over the place, it's like that subliminal, programming where people are receiving Keep Smiling, or it's tapping in, like Les Brown says, it's tapping them into that energy signature within that's drawing smiling.
It's really exciting. I listen to affirmations at night or hypnosis at night. I'm trained in NLP and dual trained in hypnosis, and I'll be taking my master prac so I'll be a master practitioner in NLP here next month. And having those services, by the way, I provide those services for our nonprofit, and we have other people who volunteer to provide them as well. So if you're somebody who's going through stress and you need a limiting belief removal, or you need to overcome some stress or anxiety, then we can provide that for you. We just want to be more preventative and helping people be more resilient as part of the services that we provide for the Keep Smiling movement. But it's so funny because it doesn't matter how much you remove or release. It's interesting how things will trigger you. And when you start looking in the world for those, you're like, oh my gosh, that totally triggered me. Why? Like somebody like a year ago, I had somebody that we had always had like something that would come up about putting something on their calendar, and it would upset me. And then we realized it's so just the word calendar, I would get upset. Like it would put me in a sad state. And so then we finally reversed it. And then because he realized that he was the one that kept using that or doing like a takeaway. And so then he started making fun of me where I would laugh, in a positive make fun of. And then we changed that. So now when I hear the word calendar, I start laughing. And so people are like, oh, do you want to have an appointment? Check your calendar. And I'm like, I'm all happy about it.
Oh my God, that makes me think of what I always talk about calling laughing Buddha. So I had this incident, in the 90s, and it was that song. I can't think of who it is. What's that Unbreak My Heart song? Who sang that?
Unbreak my heart, say you love me again. I don't. Is that Tony Braxton?
Tony Braxton. So every time I would hear that song, the trigger would take me back to this period in the 90s when I lived in, Las Vegas, and I was experiencing tremendous adversity and darkness. And so even up until recently, every time I would hear that song, and so what we did is we implemented Laughing Buddha into it. So now every time I hear the song, I start laughing hysterically. Like,
Oh, so when I sang, you were laughing. Oh,
yes. But literally,
positively.
It was like, whoop, Sherry got it.
Got it. I love that. I love that. I attach songs to everything. So super love that. Super love that. In fact, I actually want to live in a musical. So I've been manifesting that. So recently for this year, for like some people make goals for their year, I made a possibility for my year that my possibility for this year is that I will live in ridiculous joy and happiness, that I will have a song and skip in my step, and I will be unabashedly abundant. So that means I get to sing and dance and be happy while being compensated for the things I do fairly or even more.
Wow. You know what? I resonate so deeply with that because, when you're in that state of knowingness and just that simple state of being, you're just projecting that out. And that I like to call it the reticular activating system. And literally your reticular activating system is drawing into your experience everything like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's so powerful because you bring such fun into the experience. Like the whole time I've been talking to you, what have I experienced? Fun, being yourself, that dream making. So I ask, what is it your clients love about you?
Oh, well, a lot of it is that when they come to me and they say, hey, Andrea, this is my big dream. What I think, I mean, it's not even a think. I know what they say is, Andrea, you love what I'm doing almost more than me. Like I only work with a few people. I don't work with a lot of people at all. I'm very particular. And when they say what they're doing, I'm excited for them. I have to love my clients. In fact, I love my clients so much that I actually now, just to make sure that they're perfectly clear, I'll say, all right, so you need to make sure you tell your significant other, boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, boyfriend, whoever, that I am going to tell you that I love you, and I'm going to say I love you in our text messages, and I'm going to say kissy face and blah, 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 and hugs and kisses, and that is how I'm going to communicate with you. Because if I'm not in love with you and who you are and what you do, then I can't sell you. Because I'm not even selling you at that point, I cannot help but share the things that I love. So like the Keep Smiling movement, it's my baby. I'm the surrogate mother of this project. So I'm the executive director, but I've been there since they founded it. I mean, they founded it, and I mean, well, it was founded a long time ago, but the co-founder met Barry Shore in March of 2015. That his name's Ken Rashawn, and so they co-founded that they were going to make it a viral movement. And so the cards weren't just cards, that it was going to be social media and books and all this stuff. And then Ken said, Andrea, help me, basically be my dream maker. And I came on board and I fell in love with what we're doing. And now I consider myself the mother of this project. And you don't leave your children, you love on them. And, Barry and Ken are the fathers of this, or the grandfather and father of this project. They're the father of my child here. I got to love on my keep smiling baby. And of course, I've got pictures of it on the wall behind me.
I'll never forget, I went to a networking event several years ago when I had first moved to Phoenix, and I went to this networking event in Scottsdale, and this man walks up to me and he holds a keep smiling card and gives me the keep smiling card. And just there in that moment, I smiled and laughed, and now I'm listening to you and I'm thinking about when the man walked up and handed that to me. And it's amazing how it is spreading and impacting all over the world, how it's spreading and growing legs. It's a movement. It's a revolution of keep smiling.
Got to move it. Yeah, it's really, really beautiful. And I get really excited. I'll go places and people will go, wait a minute. I know this. I know you. You smile or something. You have the blue cards. And I'm like, that's us. And it's really, really exciting because it really goes along with my branding, the red carpet connection, because we really want to make sure that our connections are red carpet, that people feel relevant, enthusiastic, and they have their delivery. And and when you have that, you hit your target market every time, and that makes you smile. So it goes with the keep smiling movement.
That's awesome. So let's dive into that a second and talk about the red carpet movement and what you do for people when you're creating publicity for them.
Yeah. So one of the things that's most exciting to me about publicity is, like, if you really want to do well in the market with media, there's two things that you really need to have. And one of them is honesty, and the other one is authenticity. So the camera does not lie, just like it shows our pounds and our imperfections. Especially like on this platform, I can't do like the soft filter where I look a little more smooth. I don't have that here. In fact, I was laughing. I'm so used to using the other platform. I'm like, oh, I look different. And but I'm real. I show up as I am. And
Yeah.
so showing up as you are. So if I came on trying to be all, well, the five score and this and that, and being all stuffy, that's not who I am. And then it'll come across. I mean, so certainly I do have another face of me where if you need me to be strict in business. In fact, I had a client last night. He said, wow, I never seen you be so. And I said, man, I was coaching a game and we were coming down to the winning, kick. I needed to get in. I needed to be serious. And that I got he goes, well, I like that too. I like both sides of your personality. Of course, this one is better for media because it's interesting. My voice inflection changes, but I'm also very honest. So if I don't know something, I'm going to tell you that I don't know, or I don't recall, or I'm going to figure it out and follow it up with you for you. That's it. That's the number one thing in media. And the second part of that is show up. Mm-hmm. Sherry, you do that in the world. You show up. Yeah. How you showed up for the networking event, how you show up on Clubhouse, how you show up here. Do you have a story about that you remember just being there and showing up and why things changed for you?
Well, I think really for what really changed for me, if I'm being fully honest, is recognizing my worthiness. Really realizing that all these famous people out there and all these people who we admire and we want to, be part of their world, we're really no different than each other. And the more that we are willing to be in today and to sit with ourselves and to really feel from within, that part of ourselves that's trying to show us something. So if it's unworthiness, the willingness to sit with unworthiness, the willingness to see where we're feeling it in our body. And then, because remember, anytime we're feeling something like that, it's just trapped energy. And so, what would happen if that energy was gone, that unworthiness energy? I mean, the world, what's the world doing? The world is showing us a piece of ourselves and how we're showing up. And so for me, I mean, the more that I'm willing to just be myself, which is very silly, playful, and over the top, not let people tell me, oh, you're too loud or you laugh too loud or this or that, which is what I love so much about you. The more that I am allowing myself to show up in the world as that, the more people, they receive that and they love that about me.
You and I have connected ever since we've met. We just really hit it off, and you just shared some things that are quite interesting. So, several years ago, I did a whole bunch of work for these two gentlemen who didn't act like gentlemen. They had different expectations and different ways of showing them, and they actually had a talk with me. They called me. It was 2:30 my time in the morning, and I got up and I answered it. And they said, "We need you to shut up and listen." So so already I worked with people who didn't always talk to me the best way, and they said, "We just wanted to let you know there's several things about you that we don't like, and you need to change them." And I'm like, okay. And they said, first of all, uh, you're too much. You wear too much red. You're too friendly. No more singing. No more trying to be funny because you're not.
Mm.
No more talking. No more laughing. And then I was literally bawling my eyes out. And then during the conversation, I'm thinking, oh my God, how can I do this? How can I do this? Like I'm trying to change myself. And then by the end of the conversation, after bawling and ugly snot, it's really hard. And I wrote down everything they said. I wrote it on a piece of paper. And when it was all said and done, I just said, you know what? I, I just realized something. And they said, what? And I said, I don't know why you're telling me to change these things, because what you want is not me. You don't want me. And I can't not be these things and still be who I am. And it was really, really ironic because I still had another job with them and I did what they wanted. I wore black. I was quiet. I stayed behind the scenes. I did all these things. And we did this big event in the Bahamas. And it was just right after a hurricane had come through. And so the people there were devastated and they wanted to do a sales pitch to help them with business, which was awesome because they did need help with the business. But what happened is like the speakers were all talking and stuff in the morning and it was going towards the big sell time and it wasn't going to happen. I mean, they could tell that sales portion was not going to fly. So it was interesting because they came to me and they said, "Hey, Andrea, we need a favor. We need you to do something." And I said, "Sure, of course," because it's me. "Sure, of course. What do you need?" They said, "We need you to go on stage. We need you to talk." Uh, okay, sure. Um, and they said, "Yeah, just uh, do your thing. Be you." And I'm like, "Be me?" And I said, "Well, can I change? I have a red dress in my room." Fine. I'm like, Can I sing?" I guess. Fine. Yeah. Yeah. Just do you. Just do you. Fine. Whatever. So I got up and I presented and I did me impromptu because I only had 10 minutes to get ready. And then I did this, hey, did my normal talk and my things I do, the five, deal breakers and all this stuff. And this was just myself and sang and was funny and did my thing. And then after I presented, the person who was coming on to do the big pitch for the sale came on to pitch to sell and got I don't know, 10 or 12 people, this huge big dollar package. And it was in that moment I realized, wow, what they didn't want or what they said they didn't like was me. But when it came down to creating an audience and helping them feel loved and cared about and connected and laughing with them and singing with them, that was me. And none of those sales would have been led up to. Now, the person who did sell after me, he's fantastic in his own right, but you need to have that build up before that big sale comes through. And when push came to shove, they literally had to come to me and eat crow and ask me to do all the things that they said they hated about me. So, and
Wow.
that's when I decided that I can't ever let anybody talk to me like that again. And I have moments that I slip and let and choose to be around people who maybe don't treat me the best or talk to me well or gaslight me or do something stupid like that. And it's because I love the core of people and I want to believe that that's not who they are and want to believe that it's because they're in their ugliness or in their past or in their childhood. But yeah.
I get it. I had an incident like that happen to me at one point. I used to do charity and celebrity events in Los
Mm,
Angeles. and very much the same exact story as yourself. And everybody loved that about me. We used to hold 147 charity and celebrity golf tournaments a year. And
Nice.
one particular man I worked with, one time he started screaming at me in an event and trying to demean me for being exactly what you said about yourself at an event. And so, and he made himself known to everybody at the event who he was. And so the people who were coordinating the event, they came to me and they're like, good for you. Because I basically told him, I said, don't you ever speak to me like that again. I don't ever speak to you like that. I give you respect. I give you love. I honor you for who you are. But I don't get the same in return. And I'm willing to be myself. I'm willing to be the person that these people actually love. They love that over the top, silly, playful laughter side of Sherry.
Yeah.
And so what I realized with clients, from then until now, is I vet them. I vet them and see if they're a good fit. Because if I'm not experienced, it goes back to what I call the 5 highest values. My 5 highest values, and I assess these every 3 months. Mine are that I absolutely love to speak, teach, serve. And then financial freedom is lower on the spectrum for me because I know that we're all energy-based human beings. And if I'm being from that part of myself, the money comes in automatically.
Yeah. It's been really fun. So, given all of that that's happened in the past, I made a declaration in December that the people who would work with me in the future would literally love me, literally beg to work with me. And I don't mean beg like, oh my God, please, but like just like chase me, that I didn't have to do whatever I did, 10 years ago or whatever, that people sought me out and wanted to work with me and that would treat me really well and love me and respect me for who I am. And right now I have a couple different companies who've been talking to me and the one we're ready to seal the deal. And they literally asked me to fill out and send them an email of anything that's ever happened in another business where I felt unloved, mistreated, uncared about, because they wanted to make sure that they never did those things to me. Oh my God. You still
Wow.
my heart. You
Yes.
still my heart.
Wow. I
Yeah.
love that. Well, and so whether you realize it or not, you've tapped into that awareness, that desire, that intention within yourself. And so merely you're putting that out and these people are reflecting back to you your truest desire, your truest heart. So that's beautiful. I love that. So
It's been amazing.
share with us. I want to get into this publicity side because, here's Sherry Gideons and she's all about publicity and
Love it.
this bigger container of love and oneness. So what are the 5 tips that you share, for your listeners regarding publicity? What would you say for just starting out around what they should know about publicity?
So the very first thing that you need to do when you want to do publicity is you really need to be aware of who you are and how you show up in the world. So the very first thing I do with people is we do like an asset analysis, like to figure out what do you do, where have you been, what awards have you gotten, how have you showed up in the world, what accolades do you have, what trainings, what certifications, and that can be a little tedious for people because we take what we do for granted.
Mm-hmm.
And just recently I've added to that not only do I want you to do that, but I want you to write how much time or how many hours you did that in. And I want you to write what the ROI or what you would have been paid. So what did you bring to someone by having that skill or asset? And then what should you have been paid for, fair market value? So I literally have them go online and look it up. What is it that you do? So for you, all right, so you are a radio show host. So that would be one of your things that you facilitated and managed celebrity red carpet events. And then along with that, you probably did the logistics and coordination. I wouldn't be surprised if you helped with the budgeting and placement of like, the whole budget of like who's the sponsor, who's this, and then helped manage all of those assets and then did butts and seats. So we start adding all of that up. And by the way, there are companies that once they're established, each one of those is a separate job.
Mm-hmm.
Now, because you've been doing them and you're good at it, you don't have to spend 40 hours a week doing the one job. You are able to do multiple jobs and make them happen like that. So a lot of times people think, oh, well, I only did that for 2 hours, so then I should do the math different on what I think my value is. No, you're able to do that and do the 40-hour work week in your 2 to 4 hours a week. So you still deserve, in fact, maybe higher because you're speedy now of doing that top peer of what that is. You start adding all of those things together, then that's really your core value to a company. So when you break that down, those are your assets. So that's part of media as well, because you want to show up in the media as being this person who has had all this presence and who's done different things. And if you're brand new and think you've never done anything before, start asking your mom, grandma, and your best friends. They're going to remember when you got recognized for something. Now, it may not have been internationally recognized, but it was community recognized or within a certain group recognized. Those things are important to you. And then start writing down the hours that you spent doing them. By doing that, then you know what your skill set is and what you have. I mean, in the scope of the world, we determine that people who have read so many books or read so many hours have this much of a distinction of being like it's like a class credit hour, and that's my second degree, second PhD is in entrepreneurology, and so that's the study of like entrepreneurology. And what do you do in that? You calculate everything that you've done and how you learned it, and the books you've read and the places you've traveled. You need to have all of that down.
That's what I need to get is my PhD in entrepreneurology because
Oh, yeah, I'm their publicist, so I'd be happy to help you introduce you to them. It's the International University of Entrepreneurology. James Umps, his dad founded the school in 1972, and his mom is the woman who founded the word entrepreneurology. So pretty cool. It's just an amazing thing, to be able to do that and to see people really excel and do things. And that's my second one. My first one is in public health, community education, and health promotion, because that was a way that I could cross several interests from sociology to psychology to communication to health and a little bit of, community management and those kinds of things. You filter them all together. And then part of that is taking what you have, your assets, and then finding the key buzzwords about those and how those fit in the scope of the world so that you can show those things and reveal what your assets are. And part of the media as well is looking to see what else is current and what's happening, and then aligning what you're doing with what's going on. So, like, I'm trying to think of something fun. Okay, so for you, all right. So let's say now that people are being released, we've let the guard down. We're letting people out. So then you can now talk about how people can congregate and be together and be in groups and still be safe and smart and yet still make great connections. So how can they still meet and greet and say hello or maybe touch or have food in a setting where they can still feel that connectivity and be smart? So there's a washing station and there's hand sanitizer, and when people are invited to come in, they and maybe say, come in and please come in and we'll escort you to the bathroom, show you where it is so you can go in and wash your hands right when you come in. So there's just constant things to safety. I mean, that could be part of your celebrity connection again. And how do you do that? How do you have clean pens to write with, and pens that need to be sanitized, or it just seems like little funny details, but that makes a big deal for the health and safety of an event now that we're being released back to do things again and traveling. So that could be part of it. Mm-hmm.
I love that you're saying that because, Dr. Fannin and I are looking to have, we've set on our intention board this year to have 2 new events. And, that's really, really related to very much what you're talking about. Thought University is all about how to identify with, one, what we're in resistance with, and then two, how to turn that channel up to a clearer dial. And what he calls it is the fine tuner. Let's tune our tuner so we're really getting the experience and the life that we want, to where we're not pushing against what we call the field of energy. We're aligning with energy in a way that is bringing more to us of what we really want. And I mean, and that's what I was going to say earlier in what you were talking about, around, all the different things we know how to do. Listen, I know I've been an overachiever my whole life, college degree, on top of that, certification after certification. But then what I discovered is that, when Sherry was trying to do all the work, I was poking holes in my energy field. I was drained. Yeah. Dis-ease or disease was showing up in my body because I was not living in my zone of genius. My zone of genius is to speak, transform, and communicate, to really teach people how to tap into that in themselves. And so when I'm over here in all these other areas and not working with somebody like you, where this is your genius, this is your love, this is your baby, then all I'm doing is making it harder. I'm pushing against the field.
Yeah. Yeah, allow it to come, allow it to be, and there's so much more about that, because when you start really breaking down, like, what is it that within publicity, a lot of times people don't realize that publicity is so much more than being on radio and television too. That's what's attached to your name, maybe who's used a quote of yours, maybe you've written a testimonial or did a testimonial for someone else on their show. So let's say, here, for those of you watching tonight, let me give you a tidbit. You could, on your Facebook page, after we're done, you can either do it on your live or you could do it on your phone. So just take your phone and say, oh my gosh, I just watched High Vibe Nation with Sherry Gideon and Dr. Andrea Adams Miller. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited to know about how Sherry is really doing these really amazing things with thought and energy and establishing these great, just go on and share whatever you want to share about what she's doing and how amazing Sherry is. Feel free to mention me. I'm always happy to have a little bit of love myself. And then leave that up. And then you get publicity because people, and when you put it up, tag both of us, tag the radio show, tag our pages and our businesses, the Keep Smiling movement. And then people see it. That is publicity as well. You have to show up. Yeah. And that's how you can show up, especially in a COVID world right now, but that's how you show up. But prior to COVID, I was doing that. You tag everything, you put pictures up, you put a video up, you leave things for them, leave it on their site, you leave it on your site, you put it everywhere. You make a comment on their YouTube channel or on their radio channel or on their television thing. You make comments. If you really want to be in good graces with different things, or you love things that the Today Show's doing, leave comments on the Today Show or whatever that is, because that's how you're going to get noticed, because that's another form of, oh my God, it's the doc. It's Joe Ingram. We love him. He's so cute and bubbly. I just adore him. I have so much fun playing with him on Clubhouse.
You hear him? He says, Sherry, I have the same jacket. Twinsies.
I love it.
This pink jacket? Oh my God. How awesome.
Totally. That would be him. I love it. And, and then, so now look at that. So Joe, because he's talking and he commented and said something fun, then we mention him and we talk about him and we say something. And Larry, at the very beginning, I don't know Larry personally, and I don't recall his last name, but he made a comment and said something about us being on, and he shows up here for us because he then now created where he's visible when we're talking about all the things you're doing and I'm doing and Dr. Fanning. I mean, it's great. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And, let's talk about COVID for a second. And for a while there, people were really connected to fear. And I believed that it brought us all back home to ourselves, that it forced us to really, get clearer about what we want and to recognize the areas that we were in that weren't serving us, whether it was a job, whether it was a relationship or what it was. But What are you doing to give back to help business owners and entrepreneurs regroup during the COVID? What were you doing as a publicity expert?
That's what's really interesting. At first, I was like, oh, wow. I get people on radio and television and put them on stages, and I take pictures at events and I speak at events. So this is interesting. And interestingly enough, I had the mindset that I am going to do everything I can to then do other parts of my business where I'm going to help them convert and consult. I'm going to look at their programs. I'm going to look at their contracts. I'm going to look at their pitches and how they talk to people and help them uncover some limiting beliefs so that the foundation of what they're doing was honed and doing better. And then as things explored and moved out, then we could put them on podcasts or do different things, have them do lives, have them create their own radio show, whatever that may be, to create a new world for themselves. And the people who were willing to be flexible and adaptable and stayed resilient, stayed in their smile, did phenomenal. Phenomenal. And right now I still have friends. It's really difficult for me to see them post and make comments on Facebook like I'm a prisoner in my home. I can't wait until this is all over. I'm dying. I can't stand it. And I'm like, really? Are you really dying? Are you dying? Could you walk out on the front porch? Could you go to the store? So maybe you don't feel comfortable going to the store. Could you just drive to the store and then walk around the outside of the store, or walk to a park, or just go through a car wash? You don't have to get out. You could use a stick and poke the buttons. So some people are so terrified of it that I don't even know how this is a life. That I don't know how they're living. Like they're not living. Right. They're not living. And I appreciate that they're safe. I admire that they care about their health and they want to stay healthy and safe. And at the same time, I don't know. It's just and I know I get that that's controversial for people, but literally you can be totally alone and isolate yourself from everyone and just go in and outside your front door, or just be in your own car. You could go out in the country and walk around somewhere in a desert field or whatever. A desert field or a deserted field. Or a dessert field, whatever you want. You make up your own word there. And actually going to a field with desserts might be a lot of fun. And then you can go walk it off. So you just have to create your own opportunities or make fun with what you're doing. I know it was funny just today. Somebody was asking me how many places, how long was I home before I traveled again? And because I was traveling to 2 or 3 events a week and going to multiple states a week, and I still traveled in all of January and February, and I thought that I was home in March, but then I saw that in March I was still on the road. And then I came home and I sat the end of March and April and May. And then I had enough, and then I traveled. So I have traveled pretty much every month, and I go away for like 10 to 15 days or whatever throughout the month, and I go create opportunities for myself. I go meet people and do things with them in their home, or I went places where I could be on stages that were virtual, and I just was smart. I wore a mask when I was supposed to, and then when I didn't have to, I didn't, because I'm not, because of my background in public health, I have a different view of the masking system, and I just washed my hands a lot and decided not to make out with random strangers.
I really love the message you're sharing, because I'm very, very.
I'm still laughing. You mean the part about not making out with random strangers?
Yeah. Well, and see, that's what I mean. I mean that you've created this space of being upbeat. You've created this space of developing resiliency around smiling. And I want to bring that back to the heart space, because whenever I'm with you, whether it's in an audio situation or right here visually, or whether we're texting each other or what have you, I can feel the energy that's in your heart. And that's what I love what you're sharing with our audience, is that you bring the importance of connecting to that heart and that beingness of laughter and joy And I very much have the same perspective as yourself. I mean, right now it's the Great Awakening. They're calling it the Great Awakening, and people are now ready to understand more that it's all energy.
Yeah.
And it's from that space of energy that we have a choice. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's in these moments that we may be dealing with, a circumstance or a challenge or a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
We can sit with that feeling. And
Yeah.
we can recognize what it's showing us, but then at the same time, we can choose to smile, like what you're sharing with us, to keep smiling, to play that part of ourself that's happy and joyful and, the daredevil and what have you.
Sure.
And so, I love that you were sharing that. So how do you stay upbeat in any day for yourself? What's the recipe and the formula for you?
So, in full transparency, Steve Taubman, I love you too. Isn't he
You
adorable?
too, Steve.
So first of all, I hang out with people in my world like that who say that they love me, and that makes me feel really exciting. And knowing that I know people all over the world. So if I'm hurting, man, the first thing I do is I pick up this phone is used so much. I just dialing and smiling. And I mean dialing and smiling because I want to share a smile, because I want to receive one, because I don't want to be down and out. And I've actually had I have been in a like positive, happy, on top of the world mode since December, despite having this like crazy weird thing that was going on with my face that I have like now I should tell you. So I had some kind of weird infection that had been in my face apparently for years that ate away or dissolved the part of my skull in the middle of my face. So I actually am missing part of my skull, but I look perfectly fine. I'd like to think that I look beautiful. Thank you. He says totally, Andrea. So I'm going to assume that he's saying totally, Andrea, not to the I love you, Andrea, but that you look beautiful. And and that I've stayed really resilient and positive through this whole thing because I know I'm going to be okay with it. And I stayed positive and happy through all of that. But something happened for me on Sunday where I had a button triggered. A word was used that triggered me to feel hurt, and that person may or may not have meant it. But sometimes it doesn't matter what the other person intended. It only matters what we read into. And I allowed that to get me off my rocker and put me back into this really childhood space where, I really, as a young girl, really felt like unloved, unheard, and like I didn't matter. I mean, so you can hear that in my voice. And so we carry those things with us. And even though I release multiple layers, there are things that just push that button and allow that to come out. And then because of that, I have something going on with somebody I care about very much, a friend who's in a different space right now, who seemingly can't stand in the positivity of other people. Because, sometimes to think about that, if you're in despair and you're feeling hurt and unhappy, it's really difficult sometimes for you to feel happy and excited for other people, and that happen that's normal. I totally get that. And when we get in that state, the ability, I just realized that have you guys noticed that my chair has shrunk and I'm down here now? So it's laughing at things. All right, let me lift my chair. I'm like, why am I lower? There I am. Hi, I'm back. So you just have to literally lift yourself up, okay? Take the chair and lift it up, and call the elephant in the room. And in this case, I was feeling down. I was allowing someone else's life and where they are in their happiness to affect me and allow to take me down. Literally, when you're around unhappy, negative people, it's like they've tethered ropes around, or ropes and rocks, and they're drowning you down, and pulling you down. And you have to be able at times, even though it hurts, you have to cut the ropes. And this sounds terrible, but I'm telling you, you have to. And this is why I'm in turmoil, is because I realize that I have to cut those ropes. Because so having taught water safety and being in law enforcement and with the fire department and stuff like that, if someone's drowning and they cling on to you, you need to push them away because they will drown you as well. And sometimes if they're still fighting and struggling and in chaos, you have to let them literally drown. So they stop fighting until they let go, and it's like they have drowned or they've taken on water. And at that point is the only time that you can save them. because they will drown you too, and then you'll both be out of it. So coming to that realization, and it's hard. Oh, it's terrible to see people struggling and fighting, and often they'll fight with you. It's easier to be mad at you often than to be mad at their own life or their own situation. And when you really love people, you want to help them, and sometimes we need to be able to step back and allow them to help themselves. And so this is what I've been dealing with this last 2 days, 3 days, and I've come to that realization. I've got to let them get to that state, and then once they stop struggling and fighting, then I can swim out and grab them and pull them to shore and resuscitate them if they'll let me,
Wow, I'm good.
and yeah.
So that's that description just now. I'm visual. So I was literally identifying with the visual side of that. I mean, as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, I was a forest firefighter. And it's just, that same thing. I mean, even when I remember when I was going through the twins learning how to swim, and throw the kids in the water, And at first, as a parent, you're like, what? What do you mean throw them in the freaking water? But what you actually see happen with the babies is all of a sudden they become buoyant. I mean, they literally come up to the surface and become buoyant. It's like a natural state, and they know what to do. And you're over here thinking, oh my God, I'm scared to death. You're in fear. But at the same time, they're over here, in their own natural state, letting go. And it's like, they know what to do. And it's like, we come in with all these programs and these habits that we learn from the people that are around us. And we constantly take on other people's beliefs and opinions, and more let go of who we truly are, who we truly want to be, what brings us more joy, which was what you were talking about earlier, just being happy all the time and creating laughter.
Well, and that's part of it. So to go on with that drowning analogy, when I feel like I'm drowning, I also I'll start to fight and struggle. I might fight with a person, or I try to say, but I'm trying to help you, but I try to intervene or try to help.
Yeah.
And then I finally, and that's even if it's just me, sometimes we fight with ourselves about stuff. And then when I finally realize, stop fighting it, stop fighting what's happening in the universe, and just be present with it and let go. Because if you're in the water and you're fighting, the water will pull you down and win. But if you're in the water and you let go and you breathe, you keep breathing, and you slow your breath. So I'm trained I'm a certified biofeedback practitioner and neurofeedback practitioner, both certified in both. And so in order to be able to breathe and to do that, even if there's waves and water and rain or whatever's there, you can, in your mind, and you can regulate even though you've inhaled, you can regulate the exhale if you just let go in here. And when you let go in here, all of a sudden there's more of a buoyancy about yourself. And when you become trained in the water and trained with your breath work, you can create buoyancy or take it away. Scuba divers can do that. Oh, thank you, Steve. It's all about surrender. Sometimes we need to exhaust ourselves before we can. Oh my gosh. Think of that with children. Yeah. They have to exhaust themselves and then they're out. And I literally, in my situation right now, thank you for that, Steve. It reminded me that I really think my friend right now is in their childhood state, and they need to have a temper tantrum until they exhaust themselves, and then they'll go to sleep, and then they can wake up refreshed. They need a nap. And as us adults, we need that. We need it for self-care. We need to know that it's okay to do that. Now, for me, I immediately am calling on my NLP friends and hypnosis friends, and I'm like, hey, hey, do a session. Let's trade off some sessions, or hey, talk to me so I can do hypnotic language on myself. And if I don't have a friend around, I have videos and audios that I've made for myself, and then I just look them up on YouTube and figure out what somebody else has and listen to them, or Steve Taubman or somebody else, that there's plenty of resources out there. And part of that is take care of yourself, figure out what makes you happy and do it.
Yeah. Well, and so much of it is making the decision not to stay in that state, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Not giving it power.
Yeah. I had a woman tell me today, it was funny. I was getting ready to be on a radio show of my own called Your Destiny this morning. And a whole bunch of interesting things happened, like where my car door was frozen and like there was no shampoo and conditioner in the shower. And then, and then in getting here, there was like somebody blocking the road and just like everything was in the way. And I was talking to her on the phone and I said, hey, I just wanted to let you know you might be on Zoom before me. And I've had some interesting things come up. And she said, like what? And so I told her, and she's like, oh, and then she's like, I think that's interesting that you used the word interesting, because most people would go, oh my God, it was horrible that I couldn't take a shower and finish getting ready, or, and I'm like, well, it wasn't horrible. It was inconvenient. But even instead of being inconvenient, I actually thought it was really funny. I have another little funny story. Actually, on the way here to talk to you, I remembered that I had ordered 2 dresses before Christmas that I wanted to take with me to Baltimore to do this photo shoot. And I also ordered a pair of shoes. Well, before I left, they called me and said that my order was in and I could come pick it up. I picked up my stuff and I packed an extra dress just in case those dresses didn't fit, went to Baltimore. It was 10 days later that we did the photo shoot, and I open up the package and there's a pair of shoes, no dresses. So luckily I took an extra dress, or that would have been a different kind of photo shoot, more of a boudoir, because I only had shoes. No dress. No dress was present. And so we still did the photo shoot in the dress that I had. So I called to find out where these dresses were, and they're like, yeah, they came in the day after you left and they've been here for you. And I said, yeah. And I said, let me tell you this funny story. And I tell her how I get there, go to put the dresses on, and there's no dress in the package. And she's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, sorry for what? It was the funniest thing ever, because now I have this hysterical cocktail story to talk about how I really, then luckily I had an extra dress or I would have been doing a boudoir photo shoot. And she was cracking up and she's like, I can't believe that you're not mad at us or upset. And I'm like, why? Why choose to be upset? Even in the moment that I did it, I opened the box and went, wow, that's funny. And I just laughed about it because it's hysterical. I mean, I've been in a car accident where I laughed. I'm like, oh, wow, this is hysterical. This is a good way to get my car repainted. you know.
How fun this last hour has been, girls. So I have on the screen your free gift. Why don't you go for our podcast? Why don't you tell about our audience members where they can go and get your free gifts?
Thank you for that, because there is a lot of publicity tips and hints that I could have gave you, but we were too busy talking about laughing and having fun. Saving yourself. So go to www.theredcarpetconnection.com/free gifts. What I created is, during COVID, I realized that there were people that needed publicity who may not be in a place to right now to have allocated extra budgets for publicity. So I created that for them so that they could go there. There's a 7-day challenge for them. Every day you'll have a video with different information that it tells you exactly how to gather it and what to do, so that you can prepare yourself to have more publicity in your life. And then right now she has up the keepsmilingmovement.com. So if you go to that website, by the way, if you love to dabble in websites and would love to be a sponsor, I could use a new website. So the one you're going to makes me smile only because it's so ugly. Like, wow, that's a really bad website. But you can email us and ask us to get some of these cards so that we can, so you make a small donation and we can mail these to you so you can give them out all over the world as well. And we have free ebooks for you. So you click the button that says free ebook and it will pull up an email. So type in your email that, hey, I want to talk to you, or if you want to book us to be on a radio show, or want to, give us a compliment or say something fun or tell us a story for the Keep Smiling movement, then let us know. And we would love to publish your Keep Smiling story. So Sherry's doing one. I'm excited.
Yes, can't wait. And go ahead and tell them about how the Red Carpet Connection website.
Yes. So the redcarpetconnection.com, again, that's just my regular website. If you do the /free gifts, you can do the bonus for publicity. But if you go to the redcarpetconnection.com, it brings up a different space where you can actually book a call with me. So if you want to talk to me and explore about like what's in your world or how publicity or sponsorship might fit into your world, I have free consultations on there to be able to create that. And if you're a connector or you have ideas for me, I'm always growing and expanding my world. I'd love to hear them because it's all about our relationship capital. Let's connect with people that we love.
And your Facebook group. How can they connect with you on your Facebook group?
So that's my business page. That's the Red Carpet Connection Publishing Publicity. That is really long, by the way. I just realized. That is really, really, really long. But you can come there, and that's our business page, and we can connect. And periodically, we post different things. And if you do the 7-day challenge, that's the one with the free gifts. That's the /free gifts. Then you get invited to join our page there, where we have a membership page where we have different things going on. And actually, that is a fairly new thing. So you get to be fun and play in there and get to talk with me even more because it's something that we've created as a beta to find out what people need and what they're really looking for. So this is a chance for you to really have a voice. So it's pretty fun.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And I want to thank all of our audience members, as usual, for shining with us here today, this beautiful guest, Andrea, Dr. Andrea Adams-Miller, and the fun that we've had on the show this last hour. You can find us on the web at www.thehighvibenation.com. And you can find us on Instagram at The High Vibe Nation. And you can find us on Facebook at the High Vibe Nation. And I want to thank you, as always, for supporting us weekly. I'm now having the show on Wednesdays at 5 o'clock p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So if you go and join High Vibe Nation on Facebook, you'll be able to get an alert every time that we're getting ready to go live. And as always, thank you so much, and create an amazing rest of the week. And until next week, have a great, great week. Bye now.
Hashtag.
From everybody here at the High Vibe Nation, we want to say thank you for choosing to raise your vibration. And of course, please like, share, and subscribe. If you need to find us on the web, check us out at www.thehighvibenation.com.